Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to NXT July 24, 2019 review. I do understand that last week's July 17th review was not posted on my channel. I have gone on here and done reviews and not done the reviews. One week I'd do it, the next week I wouldn't. The explanation to that is simply because of the fact that I work a lot of hours and talk a lot of hours doing my job, and it wears the living shit out of me. And sometimes I just don't feel like doing these reviews. But I understand I've went back and forth with one review, skip a week and not do the review and what have you. I did keep an eye on last week's episode, even though I did not do the review. It was a really decent show. It really hyped up the main event for the NXT World Title at the NXT TakeOver event in Canada, in Toronto. And this one had a ton of build. And I mean a ton of build leading into TakeOver Toronto. Number one, they finally established the two matches that Johnny Gargano and Adam Cole both wanted to provide to us at this event for this 2 out of 3 falls stipulation matchups. And Johnny Gargano's pick was a street fight. Adam Cole's is just a regular match. Now, why Johnny Gargano would pick a regular matchup, I'm not quite sure. I think that's a little ridiculous, per se, but nonetheless, it still was it's really cool to see them being able to pick some stipulations here and kind of change it up a little bit. What I'm very interested in hearing is what William Regal's third stipulation to this 3 out of falls matchup is going to be like. Hopefully, it's a ladder match of some sort. I think that would be something really good. Or a Hell in the Cell. I think that would be fantastic. If they went about with the series that's going on between these two men. They lost the opportunity with Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa because of that major injury Ciampa took. That might end his career a lot sooner than it needs to. And I hope that doesn't happen. I hope he lives out a long career, as long as he possibly can, and has a successful one. They lost out on that because of that injury. This is a good opportunity to throw that Hell in a Cell match that has never been done in NXT before. This is a great shot at them doing that here in this event. I do believe they are performing in front of an arena where there's actually 15,000 plus fans that can fill in the seats. If that is the truth, if I am correct about that, I hope that they do pick a Hell in a Cell match, because this will actually give some legitimacy to prove that Adam Cole is worthy enough to be the NXT World Heavyweight Champion. If they go that route and they make him win, they make him look really good as being world champion in NXT. Not saying that he's horrible anyway, but to beat Johnny Gargano in a vicious fight, such as a Hell in a Cell match, as the third match to the entire 2 out of 3 falls matchup in stipulation format, I think would be a fucking fantastic idea for either one of these guys. Forget it, even Johnny Gargano winning in a Hell in a Cell match against Adam Cole would do him a lot of good as well. Honestly, even both of them being in this matchup alone, forget about the win or loss, just them two performing in a Hell in a Cell match for the first time ever in NXT history would be amazing. I hope that is something that they go with. Because I really think that matchup belonged to Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano for a 2-year storyline rivalry that they built up. And this, I mean, granted, is nowhere near Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, but probably one of the best storylines I've ever seen NXT do. Not that NXT storylines are bad, but this was by far the best storyline ever done by WWE NXT Creative. But this would be a good opportunity to take advantage of this. Not to mention the two matches that were chosen weren't exactly super big matches. I mean, it wasn't like they blew it out of the water here. A Hell in a Cell match would blow everything out of proportion and make this really, really invested to the point where people won't even give a fuck about the street fight or the regular matchup that they perform. They're going to be all centered on the Hell in a Cell match opportunity that they're going to get to see after these two guys get done with those first two matches. And I think that is fucking awesome as shit if they do something like that with William Regal picking a Hell in a Cell match. I hope that's what they go with, but that's only to be seen and heard from William Regal in probably next week's episode or the last episode before NXT TakeOver. I think that would be a better idea if they just make the announcement on the last episode of NXT before TakeOver Toronto. And if they announce the Hell in a Cell, my God, people are going to be super in tune for this matchup. I think people are going to be fucking going apeshit over this. I mean, granted, we've seen Hell in a Cell before, but Hell in a Cell in NXT, never been done. And I can imagine that they're going to go all out for this shit. So, if that is the case, then I think that will be something that needs to be done in... I lost track of what I was trying to say because my friend is sending me a text message about a fucking Terminator movie that's coming out in November of this year. Like, who gives a shit? It's fucking over and done with. They've killed it to God knows how many times. And I'm a humongous Terminator fan, but I lost track of what I was trying to say because he was sending me a text message while I'm recording this fucking video. But yeah, they need to take advantage of making that announcement probably as the last NXT show before NXT TakeOver. I think if they go ahead and announce it as a Hell in a Cell match, it will get a lot of people very interested in this matchup to see how things turn out. And I think with that match, that Hell in a Cell match, they have a great opportunity to also provide us a very, very gritty, hardcore type of atmosphere that could compete against AEW type style wrestling when it goes hardcore. I'm talking about they could go all out with blood, use blood packs and shit like that, or if they really want to go old school, use a blade job and get that thrown in there in this matchup. Something of that kind of nature, since Triple H has creative control over NXT storylines and stuff like that. So, getting off of all that, because I've spent 8+ minutes talking about that, let me get into the show itself. Keith Lee and Damien Priest actually headlined and main evented the show for tonight's event. This matchup was a solid, okay matchup. I was not impressed, though, at the fact that they went with Keith Lee losing. I don't understand. You're going to go ahead and make the man last week make an announcement that he's sick and tired of being overlooked. Well, maybe if you're overlooked, it's because you can't fucking win the big one. Why would you make him go out and say all that last week and then make him lose to Damien Priest and job out to him? Why not make him win? Make Damien Priest look good in loss, but make Keith Lee win to make him still seem relevant. Now, at this point with him losing, he doesn't come across relevant. He comes across to why they've overlooked him, why he's not been given the opportunities he could have been given before. when he first came in. He looked promising. It looked like he was going to get some kind of push like Matt Riddle, and now he's just doing absolutely nothing at all. We got a promo from Killian Dane also earlier that night about their matchup. And this match I'm looking very much forward to. This matchup is going to be heavy duty, kick ass shit. I can't wait to see Killian Dane and Matt Riddle go hardcore with each other, even though it's not going to be a hardcore match. They are going to be rough, stiff in that ring with each other, and it's going to be entertaining as fuck to see these two guys go at it one-on-one. We also had Jordan Miles and Angel Garza actually kick off the show in the semifinals tournament for the NXT Breakout Stars. Jordan Miles is formerly known as ACH, if you haven't already known that. Performed under that ring name in Ring of Honor. Went against this guy, Angel Garza. And again, as I mentioned in the very beginning of the first round of the tournament, Angel Garza is very entertaining. He's got a swagger to him. He's got charisma. He's really decent in the ring. He reminds me a lot of Andrade Cien. If he was to move to the main roster right now, even at this present time, I would put him as a tag team partner with Cien. I think they would make a great tag team, would put legitimacy in the tag team division. And I know that's saying a lot to say a guy like Angel Garza, who's just had 2 matches in the NXT roster, or on the NXT show itself, and just automatically say he belongs with fucking Andrade Cien as a tag team partner. I know that's saying a lot, but this guy, it seems like a natural at what he does. He may have lost to Jordan Miles in a very unbelievable matchup, which was better than the main event, and I gotta tell you, I'm impressed by both of these guys. Jordan Miles is a fucking impressive character as well. He can do a lot of great wrestling in that ring. I think him and Kushida would put on a fucking wrestling clinic with each other if you put those two guys together. This matchup here was a hell of a match. We also got another thing. It was Bianca Belair. She's trying to rebuild her reputation in NXT to get herself back into the NXT Women's Championship match. Well, she won tonight in a okay matchup with a Chinese wrestler who I'm not very familiar with because I've only seen her a couple of matches, but that's about it. Match was okay, but nothing big. I kind of skipped through that match, really, to be honest with you guys. The other thing, we also had Io Shirai in action against another female performer who I've seen maybe once or twice in a matchup, who's kind of coming up and just really starting out in NXT. She's not really been utilized a lot to get people familiar with, but they used this opportunity for Candice LeRae to come in this match and attack Io Shirai. Very good idea, because she needs to get a fucking revenge on this bitch for what she did. Quite frankly, these two women belong on the NXT TakeOver event for Toronto. I think they should be in a grudge match. I don't know what's going on with Shayna Baszler and her championship match. I don't know if she's facing Mia Yim or that's just being built up for another event at some point. I'm not quite sure, but I haven't heard any announcement about it or what's going on with that. They might have already made that announcement in the tapings, and I just haven't looked at it, and I'm not going to because I don't want to spoil the fun of these episodes. So I'm just going to kind of keep it on the DL and keep keep my nose away from any spoilers so it'll surprise me when I see it happen, or when it's announced. But Mia Yim, by the way, she attacked another one of Shayna Baszler's cronies. That is Jasmine Duke. She actually beat the hell out of her in the Performance Center. That was very brutal shit. Like, she says, she said the F word, which they bleeped out, of course, and they had Duke say shit after her shoulder got smashed in by a fucking locker by Mia Yim. Very brutal and gruesome, gritty kind of little thing that they went ahead and did there. So, yeah, I mean, I was very impressed with that. That was very hardcore-ish type look. It looked very more like adult-like setting for adults to watch. Kids, I mean, you can have a kid watch it. It's granted it is violent, but I mean, it's nothing gruesome to the point where they're going to see really horrific, horrible things, like blood gushing everywhere or something like that. But it certainly wasn't exactly nice. Let me just put it to you that way. She was pretty fucking brutal on her attack. Then we also, one other thing I want to mention, and I'll be able to close out this review, because pretty much this review has a lot. And I mean a lot. This episode had a lot of fucking segments, couple of decent matches, most of all, just a lot of good storyline telling in this episode that gave us progression towards the NXT TakeOver event, and that's the NXT North American Championship. It went from being Valentin Dreams to Roderick Strong. Now Pete Dunn is thrown in the mix, and this is going to be a triple threat match. Holy shit. Now, granted, I will say this. I don't think that Pete Dunn deserves to be in the North American Championship right now, because of the fact he's been performing in UK instead of in the American NXT version. But overall, as a competitor, as a person in the last year or so, or actually the last few years, being the NXT UK champion, or WWE UK champion, and just carrying that belt with such class and bringing some kind of old school resemblance to it as champion, and probably making it the most prestigious title right now in WWE's modern day history, in the WWE's modern day product of this company, he's probably provided more than enough prestige to that title than you can ask for from any superstar in the WWE right now. I mean, granted, NXT's World Championship is pretty prestigious, but the way they had Pete Dunne do it, he was fucking putting such legitimacy to that title, it was ridiculous. I will give him that. And for that reason alone, I'm okay with him thrown into this triple threat match. But as a NXT competitor, I don't believe he deserves to be in it, because he hasn't done anything specifically on NXT to earn that shot, because the NXT North American Championship is on the NXT brand. So that is my only beef or issue with this idea that they're going with. So I kind of feel like it's a little bit of a screw job to Valentin Dreams and Roderick Strong, because those two putting each other together as one match, I believe would have been a fucking show stealer of the night. And unfortunately, it may not be as great as it would be with Roderick Strong and Valentin Dreams, because of the fact they're going to have to have one of them out of the match while the other one's performing in the ring with the other superstar. So it's going to be a little bit not the way I would picture it as a 5-star classic. Now, if you put Valentin Dreams versus Pete Dunne in a one-on-one match, granted, that would be a fucking 5-star classic. But with this triple threat, I don't know if that's going to provide us that kind of hope. But granted, I mean, I'm not 100% always right about everything, but I will say this. I kind of think that it would be better if it was just one-on-one instead of a multi-man triple threat match. But that's not here or there. The promo to it was great. Valentin Dream is one of the greatest characters right now on NXT roster. Probably best character in WWE right now. I mean, I don't think anybody has a better gimmick than him. Tyler Breeze is probably the only one that is anywhere similar to him. And them to be a tag team partners would be okay in my book, but they probably would end up being like Fandango and Tyler Breeze. And I don't want to see that shit happen. So fuck that shit. But Valentin Dream is the best thing going gimmick-wise right now. He has so much of like mixtures of different chemistry and charisma that I see from many different WWE superstars from the past, like Shawn Michaels, Macho Man Randy Savage. He's got the Hollywood Hulk Hogan type of gimmick going on with the black and white type look. You can see the Hollywood Hulk Hogan picture of Valentin Dreams' face on the back of his jacket, which was pretty damn cool. I liked that. I thought that was pretty neat. Valentin Dreams got everything going for him. If I was a betting man, I'd put my money on Valentin Dream. Granted, there is a chance that Roderick Strong may walk away as the North American champion. Because we got every Undisputed Era member in a matchup here going into NXT TakeOver Toronto. And, I mean, there's a good opportunity that they might put everyone of the Undisputed Era with a championship on their shoulder. So that might actually happen. But I'm still going to have some hopes that Valentin Dream will pick up this victory, walk away still living on his dream as the North American champion, and giving the experience of a lifetime to the NXT audience and having us continue to see his great matches as a champion on the NXT roster. Anyway, guys, leave your comments and opinions down below. Hit the like button if you liked the video, and hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And I thank you very much for watching.